Welcome to another episode of Six Figure Secrets for Fractional Experts. My name is Bradley Jacobs. I'm your host and the founder and CEO of Mylance. Today, I'm joined by Natalia Zacharin, the founder and CEO of Zacharin Consulting, a firm dedicated to helping business owners make better financial decisions and scale their business through insightful accounting and fractional CFO services. Natalia, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Bradley. I'm really excited to be here.
So we're having you on because you started out on your own and you've grown this business to, you said 15 of you now, right?
Yes.
Amazing story. Let's talk about where you are today. What kind of engagements does it look like? If you're willing to share any revenue numbers, I know you're 15 people, tell us what it looks like today.
My revenue numbers are actually out there because we're on the Inc. 5000.
Amazing.
So I started on my own in 2019. We hired our 15th person today, actually, two starting today.
Congrats.
We're tracking to hit 3 million this year. For an accounting firm, that's pretty big. I think the growth's been over 100% year over year. And it's changed dramatically throughout the years, as you could imagine. And we started out with just bookkeeping. Then we added fractional CFO services because when I was doing a lot of the sales calls, the question kept coming up. Yes, I need bookkeeping help, but I don't understand my numbers. I don't know how to interpret them. I don't know what to use in this information to make my situation better or to, achieve my goals. So fractional CFO services started officially in 2021. I think before then I was probably giving free advice, which a lot of us do. And then I created an actual process and system with deliverables. And that system is still being built out because now we have to add on more CFOs, more fractional CFOs to the journey. And it's just been over the years of whatever is needed by the market that makes sense for us. Even sometimes I felt like it didn't necessarily make sense, but we were forced into it. We've been changing it. So we now have a payroll specialist. We don't have bookkeepers running payroll. We actually have a payroll specialist that we do payroll resolution, set up for payroll, run payroll for I think about 60, 70 clients, so hundreds of employees. That was because we couldn't find a good solution and we couldn't control the client experience. And now for 2026, we're rolling out tax planning and tax prep because, again, we can't find a good solution for our clients.
Wow, amazing. So to get to $3 million in revenue, right? It's always kind of the question of where do the clients come from? There's a lot of bookkeepers out there, a lot of tax people. How do you differentiate and where do your clients come from?
I have people that constantly tell me because we do fractional CFO services with clients. So we're always talking about their revenue and their growth also. And the common misconception is, I'm in an industry that's oversaturated. Well, I'm in an industry that's oversaturated.
Yeah.
So there's no excuse there. Literally anybody with a computer anywhere in the world can say they're a bookkeeper. And so that's what we compete with. Every street corner has a CPA office. That's who we're also competing with. But we're different in a lot of ways. So unfortunately for my industry, but very fortunate for us, the industry is rife with bad communication, not getting back to people, not charging appropriately, which is really important for any business because if you don't charge appropriately or if you go out of scope, then you can't hire the right people. You can't give your client a good experience because you're inundated with too much work. So that's very typical in the accounting industry. We're also very modern, tech forward, make it a lot easier on the client. We white glove the entire situation. We know they're busy. We know we have their attention a very short period of time in the beginning. And then we need to train on their information as much as possible and get everything that we can work as independently as possible and run with it and streamline and automate. So I think that's what sets us apart is the white glove services and also the fact that we do fractional CFO services.
Amazing. So that's how you differentiate. I'm so glad you called out. It's like such a common expertise, right? And so you have to find ways to stand out. And that's probably true for almost anybody. It almost doesn't matter what industry, if you're data science or you're in marketing or an operations product. I mean, there's millions and millions of people out there. So I love the call out of what makes you different. And I'd love to really hear where the clients come from. Like, how do you get to $3 million?
So the other thing I would say, it is really up to the founder in the beginning, especially to set the pace of sales and lead generation. So if you're starting out and you don't have like a C-suite of people, you should really be doing a lot of your own sales up to about $1 million in gross revenue. And then it's a good time to start hiring. So the founder has to get good at sales. The way to get good at sales is to do them. The way to find leads is to leave no stone unturned. That's the way I keep telling myself that. That's the message I give myself. Leave no stone unturned. I tried everything. Some things don't work. Some things don't work because they actually are a waste of time. And some things don't work because my approach was incorrect. So there's a difference. And you need to understand what that difference is and reiterate and try to make things work out. Networking events work sometimes. It depends on the event. It depends on the group. So I did some of my first lead generation through a great women's only group, which was fantastic. I didn't want to be locked in where I had to meet every month or every couple of weeks on a specific schedule. Like BNI, you have to meet on a specific schedule. You have to bring more leads. That's not something that I was able to do because I was running around trying to build the business and not something I'm interested in doing. I know it works for some other people, but networking was some of it. LinkedIn outreach, especially back in 2019, 2020, 21, it worked really, really well. I still think it works. It's just inundated with a lot of noise. So you have to stand out from the noise, but LinkedIn does work. Webinars. People really dislike putting on webinars, but people like attending webinars. So those are possibilities of leads. And I don't suggest this for anybody under $1 million in sales or under 750,000 in gross revenue. But once you get to that point, it starts making sense to run ads. So we run ads on Meta and we might start running ads on Google. Haven't done that yet, but all of those different avenues, those channels are very different. And those are different people also, or different specialists, or different things that you have to learn.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks for sharing all that. And what about LinkedIn content? You talked about outreach. What's the role of LinkedIn content that plays in your business?
So before it was just connecting with people and messaging them, a friendly message, not an outwardly salesy message. And no one wants a paragraph of what you do. So like, don't start selling people immediately. It actually irritates me when people connect with me on Facebook and then message me on Facebook, because that's not even my business page. That's supposed to be personal. That irritates me that they don't even know anything about me yet. And bam, they want to sell me. And I'm a salesperson by trade. So if that irritates a salesperson, if you could imagine someone else, it's probably very irritating. So I reach out to people. I still do this. And I connect with them and ask them how they're doing. How's business going so far this year for you? And a lot of people don't respond, or they just respond and say, I'm doing really well. And so the only thing I'm looking for with LinkedIn is the connection, and for them to see in my headline what I do. And then hopefully they'll start seeing my, what I'm posting, and then they will come back to me. So it's a slow burn. It takes time, just like email campaigns do as well. I used to do more of a direct outreach with like a 4-part messaging series, but no one wants that now. You have to remember that things have changed, and you have to change with how people buy.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing you say is you're connecting with someone who could be a customer and you're sending a friendly message, right? You have your profile optimized for here's what we do. And then you are leaning into content to basically have them get to know you, right? Through the content, build some trust, build some legitimacy there, and then go back to them after that kind of trust and relationship has been built, or they come to you.
Yes, exactly. So if you're looking for a fast sale, that's not it. That's going to be more direct outreach or even networking or ads. So this is more of a slower sale. And I feel like you need to do all of those. You don't have to do them all right away, but and you have to get good at each one individually. But doing all of them eventually is something that should be a goal.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. And what I'm hearing you say is there's kind of a stacked approach, right? You can get really good at one, and then maybe once you've mastered that, then you can move on to the next channel that's effective.
Yes, that's what I believe in. And things will change. So LinkedIn has changed dramatically over the last couple of years. I think Instagram has also changed. So you have to kind of see what the changes are like. There are a lot of great books. I read a lot still. One of my favorites, I highly recommend, is Endless Customers by Marcus Sheridan. It's about living in the world where attention is now a deficit. We're getting bombarded so much that people don't trust anybody anymore. Everybody says they're the best. Everybody says they do something that someone else doesn't do. So it now falls on deaf ears.
Yeah. Which is even more so why the trust. And frankly, it's one of the reasons that we do this podcast. I want people to see that I'm a human being that's smart, working hard, cares a lot, has a vision of supporting people. I'm not just some random person online that's trying to make money, right? I'm here, I care, I'm here to add value. And I want you to see that and feel that and hear my voice and build that trust because it's real. It's not bullshit. And your content does that too, right?
Exactly. Your content, your Instagram reels, your everything. And they want to see that you're human. So if you have like a hobby, that's not a bad thing to interject that every once in a while, or talk about that, or talk about your thoughts on the economy, or thoughts on business, or thoughts on something, as long as you keep it. I don't believe in putting politics out there because it polarizes who comes to you, unless you want to do that. I don't care to do that. I'd rather have everybody from every side that comes that we can help.
I couldn't agree with you more. But I love the human element, right? It's like, yeah, share an anecdote about your family or share a trip that you took on and something that happened there. Or as you said, a hobby's great. Just like the human element, like we're human, right? And humans hire other humans.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like business to business, but it's really not. It's like an individual person who wants to enjoy working with you, who doesn't want to make a mistake in hiring you, who wants right that personal connection. Like we're human beings, we want that.
Yes, especially now more and more as AI is becoming more of a thing. I think we're turning back to wanting more of a human connection. We got all excited that everything was virtual. We could do all of our meetings on Zoom, but now people want to go back to the office. And now people want to have in-person events. And now people want to do business with people because I think that we've lost that connection. So we're turning back to it.
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And it's one of those things I've actually made a real attempt to meet more people I live in Austin. Friday mornings for coffee, I try and meet a new person every week for coffee, just in person, because I can sit on Zoom at home all day or in my office. And it's like, I want to meet people in person. Like it's not COVID anymore.
I actually did that a lot when I first started out. I would meet people, I'd see them at an event, and then I'd get their information and ask them out for coffee or lunch or something, usually coffee. And I got a lot of clients that way.
Amazing, right? It's again the connection, right? It's all about connection and trust and relationship, which we've lost sight of in the world of AI and digital and just like spamming people with all these messages.
Yes. Oh, yeah, the spam. And like you said, it needs to be value and content or about yourself. And it has to be something that you wrote and not obviously AI wrote. But actually, you don't even have to write it. I do have ghostwriters and I do have people create my content for the firm, but they're really, really good and they're humans also.
Yeah, I see it both ways, right? I see there's like the ghostwriting or writing it yourself, or you can use AI to make a draft, but then you got to go in and make it yours. Like 100%. Like we're not posting AI content here. You just can't do it.
People are picking up on that too much now.
Okay, so I really want to get into your journey, especially as a female business owner. There's lots of women listening to this and that are inspired by you in building this business. The cards can be stacked against you. And something you said before we jumped on live was that it's actually more stacked against you in corporate than as a business owner. So we'd love to hear your take on that before we get into kind of your journey of starting it.
So I started the business because I wasn't getting anywhere in the corporate world. I was in my late 40s working for a pretty large company as an invoicing clerk. Before that, I was a stay-at-home mom. I went through a couple of other very menial jobs. I was having trouble finding a job at 42 years old back then. I think my first job right out of my divorce was $7.10 an hour. It was really brutal. So I dug out of that. I got a job with a salary, was doing okay, was not lighting up the world, but was doing okay. And then suddenly when they shifted management and they started changing gears, they started reducing people that were employed. And I guess I was one of them. It had to do with a lot of different factors. Age was one of them, to be honest. At that point, I was getting close to 50, single mom. It was hard for me to constantly, I needed some flexibility, like parent-teacher conferences. If my child was sick, I always got the job done. I really cared, but I wasn't I guess I wasn't in alignment with what they wanted. And I'm not mad at it at all because it was actually the best thing that ever happened to me. So I knew I was going to not get fired, but I was getting demoted. And it put me back into poverty levels in 2018, 2019. So I'd met my now fiancé and we were sitting in a coffee shop. I was looking for work. I couldn't find anything. And he said, why don't you start your own business? I actually thought that was kind of silly. He said that. I'm like, doing what? I kind of laughed at it. And he said, I don't know, like accounting is a good industry. He was a tax person. He's a CPA. So I looked into it and I thought, hey, like I can learn bookkeeping and do it on the side and make some extra money. And he sent me this 8-week course on how to set up your first business for free. He just sent it to me. And I started going through the course at night, at lunchtime, on weekends. Like, mind you, I'm commuting. I work full time. I'm a single mom. I don't have family in town. So I had to do everything when my child was asleep or in between things. So you have to be really committed and dedicated to do something like that. I was desperate and very committed to get out of that situation. And I had no idea what was going to happen. I had no idea that when I went through this course and it said, now reach out on LinkedIn and see if people need a bookkeeper. And I did. And someone called me. And that was in January. I think it was January 29th, 2019. And I still remember it very well. He's still my client.
He's still your client.
He's still my client.
Wow.
And he said, I know my books are a mess. I need your help. So he signed up with me. I didn't even have a template, an engagement letter. I didn't even take payment. I didn't know what I was doing. I agreed to it. And I did a ton of work for free because I didn't know what I was doing yet. And I didn't want to charge him for my learning, which is wrong. You have to have a lot of integrity to take money for something you don't know how to do yet. So I took the money and I started learning bookkeeping. He's still a client. The person that was doing his bookkeeping was not doing it correctly. There were like all these negative balances. And I'm like, this definitely looks wrong. So I used YouTube to clean up his books and to learn how to do bookkeeping and QuickBooks Online. And that's how it started. And in August of that year, I quit my job before I even had enough money to make my mortgage. And by November, I had doubled my client load. So I think I had 12 clients by November. And then by early 2020, I was making more money than I ever had in corporate.
Wow. What a story. Okay. So just to reiterate what I heard you say is you frankly didn't build a business in an area you had expertise.
No, I had no idea.
You learned everything on the fly, which is like takes unbelievable courage to just like jump into the unknown in so many different ways, being a business owner, new area of expertise, finding clients, marketing, and all the things that come with running a business. I'm so curious because it's such an uncommon path that you took. I mean, being a business owner itself is an uncommon path, much less like I think, and myself included, most of us go after an area of expertise we know. And like we got that part down. Usually that's the easy part. And the rest of the business is the hard part. You had all of it being an unknown. And this is not a time to be humble. What is it true about you that enabled you to jump into all of these unknowns, have the courage to do it, the perseverance to do it? I'm sure you got kind of knocked on your face all the time.
All the time.
Yeah. Like what's in you that's different that allowed you to win despite the uncommon path that you took?
I think I just got tired of feeling like I'd been stepped on over and over and over again in my life. I thought I did everything right. I, grew up in a nice family. I have a college degree. I got married. I never cheated. I always worked really hard. And I'm like, how did I end up in this situation? And my marriage was really pretty awful. So that's a totally other story. But I think that all these things happening, they all happened in alignment with where I am now. I can almost see the path going backwards, that it was almost preparing me for today because I had a lot of hard things happen. And when you're starting a business, especially if you don't even know what the technical aspect of it, right? If that's not your passion, this wasn't my passion. I didn't even know how to do it. I wasn't starting something I knew, but I wanted to get out of my situation. And I really learned how to compartmentalize and to break things down into steps and not worry about step number 2. I only worried about step number 1 every time. So when it was time for me to reach out to someone and say, hey, do you need help with bookkeeping? I wasn't worried about the next step if they said yes. I still kind of do that to a certain extent. So now we're opening up taxes. And I'm like, now I have to learn how to do tax returns really, really well. Again, not something I know. I am better suited for it at this point, but I always take the step that I need to first and figure it out as I go. It's almost like when you're walking through a foggy forest and there's like a bunch of different pathways and the path doesn't really reveal yourself. You can only see a couple feet in front of you. It doesn't really reveal yourself until you keep moving forward. And that's how I feel that this process has been for me.
And the power of what you're saying is that you don't let, because you only look directly in front of you, you don't let the fear of steps 2, 3, 4, 5, 10, 12, 15 hold you back from taking that step.
Yes. I mean, there's definitely fear. There always has been, but I would squash it and be like, that's not a thought for today.
And is that the practice? You're like, you have the thought and you're just like, not today? Or what do you actually do in practice?
Yeah. There have been, trust me, many times where I just wanted to give up. I'm like, I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm not suited for this. The imposter syndrome, when people go through imposter syndrome, my imposter syndrome was truly, I was an imposter for real. So I was like, why am I even doing this? I had meltdowns in between, but then I would stop and actually my fiancé would say, well, that's fine, but what's your next step? Like, what else are you going to do? And I was like, I don't know. So I might as well keep doing this thing that I kind of do know at this point. So I think I just didn't feel like I had any other options, not options that I liked. So I could go work for corporate again and end up in a situation where I didn't feel that I was valued and I didn't make the money that I thought I should make. And maybe I wasn't bringing the value that they wanted at that point, or they had someone else doing it. I don't really know, but I didn't have a good experience in corporate, and I never really quite did. Before that, I was in sales. Sales is not really corporate. It's a little bit different. So I just didn't want to go backwards to be in poverty. I'd been in poverty a couple of times before, just in my relationship with my husband when I was married. That was a really bad relationship. So I feel like I just wanted to learn from those mistakes and move forward. And the path of entrepreneurship was really that moving forward for me.
Yeah. Well, and I have this saying that people only really make a change when their current situation hurts enough. When it's
yes.
Right. And that's what I'm hearing you say. Is like, I really didn't want to go back to this. I've been in poverty. I've been in pain essentially before. And so my only way is forward.
Yes. And that's very true even for pricing. So if you're not pricing correctly, or you give a quote and then you backtrack and lower it, or you're afraid they won't pay you. It's funny because it's actually very similar. You won't price correctly until you have enough pain to price correctly, because it's a little bit painful.
Yeah, it's scary, right? You're like, can I really do this? All right. So we talked about how you got your first customer, which was just an outreach on LinkedIn. And then you talked about relatively quickly you were able to grow the revenue and replace your income, pay for your mortgage, all that kind of stuff, and get to 5, 10, 15 customers. Where did those first dozen or so customers really come from?
Sure. So most of them came from LinkedIn and from networking. So this was prior to COVID, right before COVID. I joined a women's group. Several of my customers came from there. They were very small businesses, so that didn't really build the revenue that quickly because they were very small, but they were still clients. So every client for me was a big win. And trust me, there were months at a time or weeks at a time where I either had no leads or people were saying no to me. And there were many times where I just felt desperate. I remember once I was feeling like no one's closing for a couple months. I had no new clients. And then suddenly one day I closed 4 new clients. So anything can change on a dime when you're an entrepreneur, which is, you just have to do it long enough and be consistent enough at it. So networking, LinkedIn. I went to a couple of other networking events, and I think that was the majority. Oh, I remember now what I also did. I still do this because it's now so ingrained. Anytime anyone would come to my house or anyone I would meet that had a business, like if they came to my house to fix the plumbing, I'd be like, do you need an accountant? Do you need a bookkeeper?
Always be selling.
Always be selling. Yes.
I love that. In the story you just shared about that, you went maybe months without a yes, and then all of a sudden you signed 4 clients in one day. Were you keeping the strategy consistent even though it wasn't being effective for that period of time? And then just one day it all came to fruition? Or did you change something in that period of time? You're like, okay, I'm listening to the data. It's not working. I'm going to change something. And then I got 4 clients.
I'm really glad you asked that question because it's such a good point. I had a script. I think it's actually like from Sam Evans or someone like that. I had a script with all these different questions and how to ask them because the questions, I need to ask a lot of questions so I can understand someone's situation so that I can quote them. But the questions are also geared so that they feel that I'm the expert, but also to give them a little bit of FOMO and feel their pain point a little bit more and to kind of drill into what is actually happening so that they feel some kind of urgency. And every time I would veer away from my script, I wouldn't close. When I would thought, no, I don't want to follow the script. I want to be more intuitive or be more kind or be more compassionate or anything. I wouldn't close. So I had to, like a robot, I had my script. By 2020, Zoom was a thing. So I'd have my script taped to my screen and look at my camera and see my script still because I didn't know it by heart yet and just go through the script, trying to sound normal and not robotic. And that is what closed the client almost every single time. So what I learned from that was that sales is counterintuitive. It's psychological, but it's not intuitive.
Yeah, so interesting. Wow, I'm so glad you got to share that. You're now a very successful business owner and you employ a bunch of people. It's such a success story. And I know not without its challenges, right? You said you got told no and you had many times you wanted to quit. What advice would you give for, the version of you that is, go back 6 years and you're in your first year of business and you're figuring it out or making mistakes, you don't know what you're doing. I mean, what would be the biggest advice that you would give that person who's listening now, who's earlier on in their journey?
Sure. I think three things. One is to be very consistent and don't give up because it's the consistency and the reiteration of the same process. It's the boring stuff, not the sexy things. It's the boring stuff that closes the client usually, that does the lead generation, closes the prospect. So, it's outreach and things that move the needle, not things that are busy work that are going to move the needle. So really hone in on what is that's the most impactful and really focus on those things because our brains are going to want us to do the easier things that aren't the most impactful. So don't delay the impactful things. The second is read a lot. There are great podcasts, for instance, right? Like yours. There are great podcasts. There's a lot of amazing information, fantastic books out there on running a business, starting a business, mindset, sales, marketing, like all the things that you need to know. If you read 5 books on a subject, you'll start understanding the patterns and validate like what are those things that work. So reading and listening is really important. That's basically like the premise of surrounding yourself. Who are the 5 people that you surround yourself with? Well, they don't have to be your physical people. They can be books and podcasts. So,
Wow, I've never heard it phrased like that. I love that.
yeah.
That's awesome.
So that's really helpful. And to normalize big numbers and normalize success. And the last thing is join a mastermind or someone or work with a fractional person, right? Like a fractional CMO or a fractional CFO, or I actually just hired a sales management team because that's not my forte to manage that. And I'm the owner. I can't do all these things anymore. So there are amazing people out there that can really help your efforts and grow exponentially and avoid those pitfalls that most of us fall into. I think that's one of the best things I did as I joined a mastermind in 2021. The mastermind was half the cost of my gross revenue that year.
Whoa.
So it was a lot. It was not affordable, but I knew it was going to be a good one. And I knew if I paid that much money, I would follow through and do what they said. And so I started out as the smallest business. I was the second to smallest business in that mastermind, and I'm now one of the largest. So I think those 3 things were really important for our success.
Yeah. And I love just, so much in business is this has been done before. Right? You're not the first service-based business to go out there and figure this stuff out. And the books are written by people that have been successful in a certain area, right? And as you said, you read a few books or you gave 5 in a certain area and you can learn from the best of the best.
Yes.
right? It's like in a $15 book, you're getting so much value where you don't have to make the mistakes because you're learning of what already works.
Yes. It really helps you to get from where you are now to where you want to go in a much straighter line, a lot faster.
Yeah, amazing. What are some of those other books? I wrote down Endless Customers.
Endless Customer is a really great one. I love the book Built to Sell by
Mhm.
John Warlow.
Love that one. Yeah.
That's a really good one. We actually, when we're talking about fractional CFO services, we always want to talk about the exit strategy, because if you don't have an exit strategy, you are going to exit your business one way or another. So
Yeah.
you might as well build a business that is as valuable as possible. So that's a really good one. I love the book Mindset by Carol Dweck.
Okay.
I remember I read that book and I was like, wow, so eye-opening. And I was like, wow, fixed mindset, open mindset, growth mindset. I was like picking people out. I love that book. For business, Never Split the Difference is a really good one. Also, so many great sales books out there. There's countless sales books out there. Endless Customers is more of a marketing book, but it's amazing. Building Your Story Brand is another one that's really good. And then I love the E-Myth. It's very similar to Built to Sell. The E-Myth is a great book. That's all I can think of at this moment. But and I follow a lot of people. I have my mastermind. I remember, to me, in the first years, all these very successful accounting firm owners, I felt like they were like Greek gods to me. They were like larger than life, and now, like, they're my friends, and it's really normalized failure and normalized success.
So cool. How much did you pay for the mastermind? You said 2021.
50,000.
50 grand. So you paid 50 grand. You said it was half your revenue. So you're making 100K. And you said you knew it would be impactful. So like clearly they built a lot of legitimacy and trust in you to make that investment. But that still takes a lot of courage to make that big of an investment that early on. I mean, what gave
Yes.
you the confidence to do that?
So they had a lower level for 20 grand. I made 108,000 in 2020. And in January 2021, I'm like, I should join this mastermind. And then he was my boyfriend. He was in it. So that's why I knew he vouched for it. That helped. But they had like a $20,000 level for like a lower level. And I was like, well, what's the executive level and what does that mean? And like, what does that cost? And what do I get? What's the difference? It was more hands-on. And I thought, I really just need to bet on myself and invest in myself and really make it work. Because if I'm going to get in the executive level, how much faster will I get to where I want to be and learn much faster and get more hands-on help? And so that's what I did. And I remember feeling buyer's remorse when I said yes. And of course, like, their salesperson is saying, I'm like, am I too small to be an executive level? And then he's like, no,
Of course not.
I'm probably too small.
Yeah. Amazing. Oh man. I mean, I just acknowledge you for so much of this, and what a story you have to tell. I'm so thankful to come on here and share with all of us.
Thank you. Yeah. I went from poverty to Inc. 5000 in 5 years.
Unreal.
It's been an insane ride. A lot of tears, a lot of like me wanting to throw my computer out the window. I always tell people, expect to get bad reviews and people that want to sue you, scary things happening to you, but be prepared, because if you know those things might happen, you're going to be prepared, and they probably will happen.
Yeah, such a good lesson for all of us. And you do keep bringing up this fiance was a boyfriend. Sounds like he's been an incredible influence on you in supporting you and pushing you in the right directions and encouraging you. I mean, we don't normally talk about people's personal lives a whole lot on the podcast, but I'm so curious the role in your eyes that he's played for you. Because when we have the right partner, like, holy shit, right? I mean, it can make the world of difference.
Oh, it made a tremendous difference. He gave me the idea, first of all, and then gave me like this free, here's how you set up a business. We laugh about it now. I asked him not too long ago, like, what did you think I was going to do with that? And he said, I don't know. I didn't think you were going to do anything with it, to be honest. It made the situation bearable. So I knew that I was on track to be fired, and he would cheer me on. Yay, you're going to be an entrepreneur. You're getting fired. Yay. So reframing is an extremely important skill. compartmentalizing, reframing, like all those things are really important for entrepreneurship. So he actually was the first person who had been an entrepreneur much longer than me. And this is his fifth business that he's been in. And he's able to reframe things for me. Like if you send an email campaign and someone tells you to F off, like my feelings would be probably hurt, but he'd say, no, this is fantastic. That means you hit a nerve. And that means that someone else, if there was an emotional response, and that's good because someone else had an emotional response that was positive. So like reframing these things to help you continue on that path is really important. And having someone to help you do that is also really important. And there were many times where I'd call and be like, I can't do this anymore. And he'd say, that's fine. What are you going to do next?
I love it. He's like, yeah, sure, quit, right? It's fine.
Yeah. He's like, yeah, you can quit. And then he'd be like, no, wait, that's not what I want to do.
Yeah, it's like reverse psychology. Like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Quit. Yeah, I love it. That's amazing. All right, so we get to wrap up here in a minute or two, but we'd love just take a second. Where can people find you if they're either inspired by your story or want to work with you in the services that you offer with bookkeeping, accounting, now taxes? Where can they find you?
Sure. So we actually have a special page for your audience. You can find it under www.zacharinconsulting.com/SFS.
Okay. We'll put it in the show notes so people don't need to write this down. Yeah.
For six-figure secrets, right? And there you'll find 2 giveaways. One is 7 ways to find money in your business now. The other one is the ultimate checklist for financial success. Those are just PDFs you download. And then the third one is a calendar link if you want to schedule a free financial consultation to chat with us.
Perfect. And you're obviously publishing content on LinkedIn as well. So people who want to follow your journey.
I'm publishing a lot of content now on LinkedIn. I just started about 2 months ago. My story's on there. When I was 50. In 2012, I was making $7 an hour. In 2025, I made the Inc. 5000. And like there was a lot that happened in between there, obviously, but that is part of the journey. I want people to know that it doesn't matter how old you are, doesn't matter your experience level, doesn't matter where you are in life. Everything else is just an excuse, really. You can pretty much do anything if you put your mind to it.
I'm inspired. Natalia, thank you so much for coming on the pod and sharing your story and just such an incredible achievement in such a short period of time. Yeah, unreal.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It was fun talking with you. I enjoyed it.
Always. We'll talk soon.